Toccaceli, who's been not just my business partner and friend, but also my coach. And she's going to be sharing with us amazing discoveries that she's been able to tap into in terms of connecting with your own self and connecting to the most powerful body that you could ever create. And I'm just so happy to have you here, Gio. I'm really, really happy to connect with you.
Thank you for having me, Bern. I'm so excited to be here and to share this topic with such a important topic with your list of women.
Thank you. Well, my first question for you is, what got you interested in this area of not just health, but actually connecting to your body in such a way that it's a deeper expression of who you really are inside?
Well, I mean, I went through 6 years of illness, and I think we've talked about this before. And through that, I went through a whole series of challenges. My health had such an impact on my personality, on my well-being, on how I showed up for others, on how uplifted I felt naturally. It had an impact on my body and my body composition. And so I didn't want to feel out of control in my body anymore. Mm-hmm. I wanted to feel like I was actually aligned with my body and not at war with it.
Powerful. Why do you think nowadays, I mean, we've talked about this a few times, why do you think nowadays that just like before losing weight had basically was the thing to do, now losing weight is like a bad thing? It's looked upon as a negative thing. Mm-hmm. Why do you think that is? I mean, I think that there's always a balance, right? There's always it's not neither a good or bad thing, but for some people, losing weight is kind of like a good thing. I mean, it's mm-hmm. connecting back to the balance that your body needs. But I want to hear from you. Why do you think?
Sure. I mean, I think it goes back to our sense of self-worth. Uh-huh. If we're losing weight in order to be approved and to be loved by others, then I think we're off base, right? But if we're losing weight because we love our body and because we want to feed it, we want to make it healthy, we want to make sure that we're nurturing it and not neglecting it, abandoning it, or trashing it. We want to make sure that our body is, not chronically inflamed or degenerating prematurely. So I think it really just depends on why you're doing it. And I also think it's actually okay to want to be your best self and want to bring out your beauty from the inside out. Uh-huh. I think that's an important feminine quality. And it's okay to want that.
It definitely is. And when I coach women, that one of the things that makes women feel incredibly confident is not just how they feel about themselves, but also kind of how their body shines out, aliveness. Exactly. And it doesn't have to be specific weight necessarily, although that sometimes matters, but it's how confident they are in their ability to let the inner part and the outer part be a match.
Exactly. And I think if as women, it's just really, we wear on the outside how much we take care of ourselves, how much we value ourselves. So that does not mean at all it has to be any sort of size. I believe any size can be beautiful. It's just regardless of what size you are you tending to your body? Are you taking care of it? Are you loving it?
So Gio, can you talk to me about what has inspired you in terms of clients that you work with to know that you're on the right track in terms of your calling? And here's what I mean. Doing coaching is not the easiest thing in the world, as you know. I mean, you have to reach someone's heart. You're someone who strikes me and who I know to be incredibly intuitive, where you actually, out of left field, come up with a question that I wasn't expecting, and boom, then tears down the road, basically a few minutes later, but you reach something that was unexpected and real. So when you've connected with clients who've had amazing results using this method that you've discovered, the Art of Feminine Movement, what have been things that have inspired you?
Hi, Bernie. I am so inspired to have women fall in love with themselves, body, mind, and soul. Uh-huh. When I see a woman and she carries a lot of shame and she carries a lot of confusion about who she is, she doesn't even think she has permission to want the things that she wants in life. Uh-huh. She's in denial about desires because she feels like she can't even have what she really wants.
It's almost like women today feel like they can't want to be beautiful. It's a bad thing to want to be beautiful, right? It's like shallow, and it's not.
Yeah, well, I think it's the way that we protect ourselves, right? We think, well, it's too hard to look like this pseudo perfect thing that we're being sold, and so I should just not care about it, when it really isn't that. It's who are you, and how can you be healthy and radiant and vibrant at a cellular level, at an emotional level, and at a mental level for your own enjoyment and freedom of life. You know what I mean?
So when you connect with a woman who actually creates this change, it's kind of fun, right? I mean,
so when I see a woman that comes to me and she's she's hiding, and she feels ashamed of who she is. And of course, as a coach, you would know it intuitively, right? Because you see those things that they might not see in themselves. When you see the roadblocks that are keeping them from the relationship and the intimacy that they really want, or from them just healing and expressing themselves as they really want to, or the confidence that you know is in there and you need to unearth. So when you can bring a lot of clarity and remove those obstacles in a way that makes them feel so safe, so understood, so loved, and also help demystify the overwhelm of information and say, listen, forget about all of that. Let's pay attention to what your body is telling us, and let's implement these habits 1 week at a time. And while we're doing this, let's get to the emotional core of what's driving you, of what you really want in your life, of how you're handling things, and just really nurture that woman into freedom, into embodying her best woman, right? That's why I named my company Embody Woman.
And what's another example of something that inspires you along these lines?
So again, I mean, to think of an example for this specific program, but a woman came to me after having tried everything to lose weight, and 3 months down the road, she had lost a ton of weight, was in her bathing suit, excited for summer, with beautiful skin, her hair was really shiny, and she just felt extremely confident with men. She had been unable to be vulnerable with men because she was doing the typical thing that we women fall into, where we're really harsh on the outside and set boundaries, and we rightly so had to do that. And then on the inside, we don't really have a strong sense of self. And so she developed a really strong sense of herself and became really inviting, feminine and warm, and was just being swarmed by men left, right. And so to see that, it was extremely rewarding.
Which is a really cool thing, because instead of basically somebody coming to you and just basically saying, hey, help me lose the weight, you're helping them lose the weight as a result of being who they really are meant to be on this earth, right?
Exactly.
I mean, as a result of embodying life, as a result of connecting to the feminine energy, naturally the natural response is to shed off unwanted emotional and physical weight, right?
Exactly.
One of the reasons why I'm so excited to talk to you, and I've mentioned this to people in maybe a couple of interviews we've shared, but for those of you who haven't listened to, I want you to hear this. I connected with Gio as my health coach and aliveness coach, and she basically was doing a lot of work with me that was in terms of emotional work. We did a lot of emotional work. We did a lot of like actual eating specific habits. And one of the things that makes me most excited is that we weren't really planning on me losing weight. I lost 18 pounds that I didn't even know I had. I kind of like had the intuition, but I didn't even know as a result of working with you. So I guess A, I'm really excited and I know this absolutely works, but B, I want you to talk to me about right now, because you discovered a method, you created a method called the Art of Feminine Weight Loss, which has like 6 different parts. We don't have time to go through all 6 of them, but I want you to talk to me about maybe 2 or 3 of those tenets that make this such a different program, so that women that are listening to us right now can actually, if they want to lose weight right now, if they want to drop some of those, that can take the essence of that and either run on their own or connect with you if they want to do this with you at some point.
Yeah, well, to begin with, for example, the very first thing I address with my clients is the emotional root cause of what their relationship is like with their body. I get so many women that tell me, I just can't make this sustainable. I start, I get up on a new diet, a new health plan, and eventually I go off of it. Exactly.
They may even lose weight, but they get it back, right?
And so many times that is because we are not... there's something else inside of us that needs to be unearthed. There's an emotional block. There's some deeper needs are not being met, and we actually lose hope that those deeper needs are going to be met. So remaining very clear to what we desire and the vision that we want is extremely important for us to want to keep habits in our life. So, taking the time out to actually reconnect deeply to those desires, what those deepest needs are for a man, for affection, for love, for comfort, for security. And just kind of really bringing up those subconscious thoughts of worthiness, of, the inner dialogue that we have running when we're with a partner, of feeling insecure, of not feeling good enough, of... and if you just ignore that, if you just kind of live it day to day and you don't actually address it, then it just stays there driving you subconsciously.
It's one of the things that makes you use food as a way to numb the pain or as an addiction instead of something that fuels you. You spoke about this, some other time, about like 3 different qualities or three different reasons that food exists, and I thought it was really beautiful, but none of them were to be addicted. None of them were to like suppress pain, right?
Exactly. Even that, right? Just asking ourselves the question, what is the role of food in our life? And I believe that the food has three roles. Number one, it has the role of nourishing our body so that our body can, regenerate from for its daily wear and tear. It's our fuel source, so it heals us. It brings life force. Number two, it's a source of communing with others, so it brings people together. It gathers people together. And the third reason is it's an experience. It's one great experience about life. It brings us pleasure. It brings us an experience. We can be foodies. So all of those things are fundamental. But when food becomes your reward and punishment system in life, where it becomes your source of comfort, or when it takes the place of you going after passions and dreams, and that's simply because we don't understand that our life requires organization. It requires us for us to take a high level look and look at all these parts of ourselves, our emotional life, our how we show up for partners, right? Are the different roles we fit, our relationship with our body. And when you take that time to look at all those different moving parts that make you up, and you set order to them, you give them love, you give them grace, you relate to them, then they don't end up driving you in a sort of chaos where, one day you're starting a diet, but you don't really know why you want to start a diet, or, okay, you need to lose weight, but you don't know that really you're feeling unworthy and insecure. So
you're saying basically you lose the connection to the why, and not only that, but you don't address the root cause. So that means if you do the actions, like most people do, they do exercise, they eat it differently, but it doesn't stick because they haven't addressed the real reason why they're eating more or why they're eating crap, right?
Exactly. And so you find that they're doing all these things without ever hitting those really deep needs